All right. Good Friday morning, January the 2nd at, on the East Coast time, 6:05 a.m. We hope that you had a wonderful New Year's. We only did the morning show. We ended up spending a lot of time with family, and we didn't broadcast the rest of the day. We have a heavy schedule today, though. We have a lot going on, a lot of good things going on, some special interviews, which we're excited about. Good morning, Lucky Desire. How are you doing on the YouTube side? And happy morning to you, for wherever you're coming from. And God bless you. If you're not following us, give us a like and a follow and a share. We will appreciate it. It is not as cold this morning, which I'm glad about. It has been aggravatingly cold. I don't like cold, but it's necessary, but I don't like it. Well, it was a great day of football. Unfortunately, the Georgia Bulldogs decided they were just going to let a team whip up on them a little bit. It was a close game. Shout out to Ole Miss. I'm not going to make excuses. I think we got our butts kicked. And, there's things we could clean up and things we need to do, some calls and stuff. It's a good old-fashioned, hard-hitting game. A lot of credit to the quarterback, I think, was the difference maker in the game for Ole Miss. I think the Dogs played well throughout the season, but there were issues that kept cropping up. And I still thought they should have won the game, but they did not, and I will not be. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback. We'll just have to clean it up for next season. They move on. The 4 teams are set. Oregon, boy, they finally – I don't think they're going to win it either. Indiana looks really strong. Ole Miss looks really strong, and I think Miami will be Ole Miss. I think that their defense is playing better than Georgia's was, and there were a lot of mistakes made by both teams in the game last night. But it was beginning the night before and into all day yesterday. We watched a lot of football. I just spent time together after the morning show. We do have this evening or this afternoon, we have an interview with another dirt track racer. Looking forward to that. We've got a number of interviews coming up. I'd say at least 6 to 8 that we have scheduled, 6 for sure, maybe 7. And then we have 1 or 2 floating. In fact, 1 will be finalized today. If the voice is better, we will have today an amazing man of God. I'm looking forward to having him on. He is fitting us in his schedule. He's out of town of lot, although I think he's going to take February. Good morning. I think he's going to take February and rest a little bit, but he's going to come and tell us the amazing things he has seen in 2025. Over 3,000 souls saved in meetings that he has been in. And we've been talking about it. If it gets put off, it would just be due to voice. He's close by. We live in the same town. For many years, although this has been decades ago, he was in the band Confederate Railroad, just by way of reference, so people would know who they are. And he's an awesome man of God. He is a person that is in meetings all the time. And I know in one recent meeting there were 11 people born again in the meeting and getting their hearts right with God and move, ready to meet their Maker, which is a blessing. And his voice was wrecked, but it was due to some other things. And he's not going to sing. We're going to rest his voice, but he is going to share testimony. And I'm looking forward to that this evening if we can work that out. If not, he will be with us. It would just be because of that. So anyway, happy Friday. You got another weekend ahead of you. If you've been off work, you're probably off till Monday. Some people have to work, no matter what. Some people have the time off. School will be going back in on Monday for as well. My granddaughters will be going to school. I'm sure they're not looking forward to the first day. And so we get back at it. And it's a new year, and we start our march toward spring. And looking forward to all that is going to happen with the podcast this year. It is going to be a wonderfully busy and fulfilling year. Good morning, Brother Jerry. It did work. And I noticed that the first thing this morning, I looked at the I got the bot that I have set up. It just pops in some of the messaging and stuff on that one. There was a setting that was not allowing those to come over. So it kept, it just, I was like, what in the world is going on? So I did some research and found out that it defaults to a particular setting. And we now have our good friend, Jerry Barrett, back in the chats. I could see it on Facebook. I just couldn't see it in StreamYard. But man, you had some good news. I mean, you had some great news going on. Getting some things taken out, getting not having to go back to the hospital and all that good stuff. But happy New Year to you, brother. And I know you'll be ready and raring to go on Sunday. I mean, you will have a blessed Sunday. I don't know about it'd be like Pharaoh, let our people go. Oh, no, I'm happy for you, brother. And I know it's been a long, hard journey. Happy for your wife, too. Good morning, Barry, and blessings to you as well, sir. And appreciate y'all popping in this morning. And a blessed day it is. Things are what Pam Bondi, she's out there promising again. I mean, could we just fire her? I mean, she's promising some indictments and stuff. And I mean, they do this about every month. I mean, there's promises for some. We're gonna get them. I don't believe them anymore. I do not believe them anymore. Horace Bongino moving on back to podcast things, I guess, and his making money that way. His wife sort of, I think, was holding things down. But anyway, they say Maduro is ready to make a deal. Well, sure he is to stay in power. I mean, I wouldn't let him stay in power, but whatever the president decides to do will be. I mean, that'll be okay. We'll just have to be okay. But there's still the ongoing. We see the pressure being put on Zelensky. That's not moved 1 inch. Not 1 inch has that deal moved. And just a lot of it's going to be a really challenging 2026. I really believe that. Now, it may be better for you personally. 2025 may have been rough. I think of you, Jerry, and the health. God brought you through a lot of blessings as well. But my wife's health, your health, different things that have happened. For us personally, it may end up, 2026 may be the greatest of years. But on a national level for our country, it's going to be challenging. I do believe as we go into the year. Of course, the midterms. Yes, the political signage. I've already been contacted 2 or 3 times about political signs in my yard. I did let one put up. We have an interview for January 9th. We don't have a time yet. January 9th for one of the potentials to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be in an interview with us. I don't know, early afternoon. It'll be early, not like 1 o'clock. I'm thinking it's probably going to be more like 3 to 5, somewhere in there, or early evening, maybe even 5 or 6, somewhere right in there. We're still to decide that, but one of the candidates that's is running for her seat will be. I don't think it'll be in studio. I think it'll be from remote. They'll come through, but they'll be on screen with you. So we're looking forward to getting some questions. So get questions ready for that. And she's is a female, and she is a veteran and is a MAGA conservative. Blah blah blah. It's a lot of people running for it. Probably be a runoff, to be honest, and it's a short-term election because then the seat is up again in the midterm. So it's going to be probably election, runoff, primary, runoff, and then election. I would not doubt that. Honestly, it's going to be that kind of year. And there will be runoffs. There's a lot of seats that are open across the landscape from your local all the way to the governor level. It's going to be, and it just depends on how many runs. And they're bound to be at least a handful of those that will need runoffs, especially in those that are local with multiple seats, people running in for a seat, MTG seat. There's a lot of people going to be getting into that. I already know of at least 3 or 4. I've reached out to 3. I have secured the interview for 1. I'm going to keep doing that. But we have had the 1, and we appreciate that. And we're going, I'm based right here in the 14th district. So that's what I tell them. I am based in the district that you want to lead, and we'd love for you to come on and share your platform, and we'll talk issues and stuff. The intent for me would not to be bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene at all, other than the fact it is for that seat. It's not about her. She is not going to be in the seat. I want to talk about issues of the 14th first, and then some national issues, engage where they're at as far as, lining up with the party and particular things that are going on. They're going to have to really hit the ground running and really have the issues planned out or known, and they believe they've got something to offer. And that's the wonderful thing about a lot of people would everybody likes to complain about elected office, and sure, that's part of the deal. But not a lot of people like to run. They don't like to be in question like that. Their life being put on display like that. They don't want anything to do with that. So they don't like that. They don't like. But the people that do, they realize they're putting their families, their history, everything about them is exposed. I mean, everything that anybody can get a hold on, and everybody's looking for a way to get a little dirty laundry or something that can be embarrassing or whatever. And so the higher level you go, the more that gets put on display, and you got to be able to take that. You got to be able to, withstand those kind of questions. And so that's fair game. I'm fully on board with that, and it should be that way. Absolutely, it should be that way. But we need to, we do need to ask the questions, and we do need to make sure that we feel good about that vote. Pray about it, absolutely, before we go into the voting booth. It's not really, do you miss the days? I miss the days of an actual voting booth. I mean, now you walk up to a machine. There's a little. For Georgia, this little partition that's, you're looking right at the next person. I mean, the person in front of you, I miss the days of walking in with a curtain. Honestly, it's a little distracting when you go vote. And, I try to go walk away to something, I have nothing to hide, but it is my right and it's protected and all that. But it's just, I don't know, maybe I have a little bit of attention deficit disorder, maybe just a slightly. It's distracting to me to have someone on either side of you moving around doing stuff, and also especially right across from you. I mean, the partitions only come up to maybe your chest, not even that. Sometimes I'm tall, so it doesn't even really come up that far on me. But to be able to look over, and if they're moving or they're fumbling or they're making some sort of little noise or something, that bothers me. I just miss the days of that. Barry says, need to ask about the theft that's going on, not just in our state, but other states as well. Absolutely. Prepare your questions. If you can be with us too, we'll definitely look at chat and ask those questions. And once I know the time, we'll announce who it is. I don't like to announce things too much until I know, I mean, things can happen, sickness, emergencies. But once I know and we got that thing set and we do, we've confirmed everything up, then we'll say who. It's not a secret, but I want to make sure I give proper name, what they, a little bit about them, their bio, and have that ready to go in advertisement for the show. So I'm hoping to finalize that today or Monday for sure, because this is like a week from today. So they're all on board. They're excited about it and getting their name out there. So I don't see a problem. I just need to get the time. And that's important for us because we have a lot of other things we're scheduling as well. So it's also important that we get that so we don't tell you a wrong time and then change it. So Barry says there's got to be some way to audit these federal programs or whatever. I wasn't even aware that government gave money for daycare centers. The federal feeding program, we'll call it that, is so deep and so wide in so many different things because when you're working through the NGOs and stuff, the non-governmental organizations, and by the way, that federal program, Barry, if you go back even to President George W. Bush, he was the one that suggested, I said, bad idea. Don't do it. Do not get connected. Remember, they were reaching out with federal dollars for churches. You could even get some government help for social programs you got going on. That would have included daycares. And I said, we're a small churches and stuff. I said, bad idea. Do not take that government money. I thought it was a bad idea. Don't do it because it's going to open you up to some stuff. And I don't want the federal government sniffing around everything. I don't want them in my church other than the people could come in and worship. But I don't want the government itself involved because I had already seen how the government, particularly the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, had pulled ministries into court, and it was so ugly. Even the federal judge, and this goes back years ago, even the federal judge told the IRS, if you can't bring in better cases like this, don't bring another case in my courtroom because they were absolutely going after churches on their because they wanted to get them on the taxes and stuff and payroll. And when you got a church and you got daycare and you got all this stuff, you got pay, you're paying these workers and stuff like that. Then you're opening yourself up to some things, with their tax returns and healthcare offerings and stuff, which had become a big part. Or especially nowadays with the Affordable Health Care Act, or having to pay unemployment insurance and stuff like that. And there were many places around the country where they would run seminars and advertise for pastors to come in to be up to date on the tax laws. And I thought, this is something a church needs to stay away from the best they can, is getting involved in something like that. You gotta do all the things, because church is different. There are things that fall under that status and everything, but there's a lot of churches went and got them a 5013 3C, tax exempt and all that stuff. And there's more than one letter of that. There's different ones you can fall under. I never want anything like that. I just think it opens yourself up to a lot of things. Dr. Kershey, remember, Brother Jerry, if you're still listening, when the school merged with that other school for the property and everything, I was going to school there really heavily at the time, and they were putting him through the ringer. The government was on making him advertise. He has to advertise every year now in a local paper for so many weeks, and there was a lot of money that they were having to pay, even with some legal service he had, which was some of it free or reduced or whatever. It was expensive, and that's what happens. You get into these things, but they definitely were giving money. And I mean, I don't say I knew to how much level. But there was my sister went to a church, and way back they were taking federal dollars. They've sold it since, because that daycare got to be a ball and chain around the church's neck. They finally just said, you know what, we're sick of it. I mean, sell it. I mean, they sold that, and it was on their church property, so they had to slice out some property and just sell it, and then have the church there. But yeah, Brother Jerry, I mean, they were putting him through the ringer. He's a very knowledgeable guy, but he was a little shocked at all the things that the government was making him do on a local or a state level, but even federal. I mean, he had to file every year, and he has to say we are not discriminatory against these things. Every year now, and there's an expense to that. So, but these NGOs, man, it was like a feeding trough, man. They were pouring all that money into that. And so these people, this is how they make money. This whole thing is what drives me crazy. So you fund a program where they get paid for signing people up for stuff. Well, you know what's going to happen. It's like the federal program or the government program for free phones, which are really not free because somebody's got to pay for it. And, I had asked those people nicely to leave Walmart property. I don't mind saying, because they'd come out, throw the card to the back of the trunk, or if they had a minivan or something, throw the back up. They put a little table out there, put phones out there. And I know people that did this for a while. They were looking for a job, and they would say, hey, I could get $9 or $14 or whatever it was for every phone that I signed up for somebody needed it. So your whole idea is to get as many people as you can so you can get paid. So they were doing that at all these different levels. And of course, they're going to sign people up for every little thing. And they don't want anybody coming around asking questions or nosing into that, because they don't want that money cut off. And if anything, that's what's been exposed during the Biden administration and now into the first year of the Trump administration, is just how dirty all this is. And the stuff that's going on right under our noses, and the massive amounts of money that are being given us on this. There may be some of it that's necessary. I grant you. I'm not saying that it may all go away. What I'm saying is that it was abused, and we know it was abused. And where's the audits on that? Where is the, as you mentioned, audit? Where is I want a financial, accounts on this stuff, and James at Empty Pockets podcast, in his town up in Springfield, Ohio, he said there's something like 2,000 NGO organizations that are working in his town for the Haitians and probably some Somalis or whatever in his town. 2,000. Now they may be working other places as well, but that's how many's in his town. By the way, he's got an interview with the mayor that's going to be coming up, I think, this next week. And this mayor apologizes and feels bad and has guilt for being born white. He's the mayor of the city, and he gets up and he cries and says, I'm sorry for being born white. I mean, come on. Brother Jerry, when I went to the church that I'm pastoring now, there was not a 501c church. It took me 5 years to get approved to get it tax exempt. I made sure I still do today that they take taxes out on what the church gives me for being a pastor. Amen to that, brother. The government is basically anti-church. When you dip into their pocket, they don't like it. But on the other hand, they love keeping their hands in our pocket. And you're absolutely correct. And so, yeah, you got to stay on board with that. Where a lot of churches got in trouble is you've got to have that paper trail. You have to have and making sure that the taxes, and that's where some churches got in trouble. And what they would say, I've got friends like this, and they think we're a church. There is no legal responsibility for us to have to do anything. Well, if you're going to be 501c, you better believe you are. But even if you're not, if you have employees and you're paying them like the pastor or whatever, they think because they labeled it a donation. Some of them said, well, we're just paying in cash. They take it right out of the offerings and pay their pastor in cash, and they think that exempts them. The only thing that saves some of them or has is that they're small. That what the government was going after was mainly your mid-level and up. So they were going after mega churches first. They were looking down, and when I say mid-level, I'd say churches are probably about 250 and up, somewhere in there. They were looking at those, and they were dragging these people into court, and they were threatening them with all kinds of trouble, and even imprisonment. There was, taking of their property, all kinds of stuff. The problem is that, that's a look that the government doesn't want, even though they threaten that. It's a bad look for the IRS to come seize a church. That's publicity they don't want. But what they will do is they'll put your pastor in jail or the treasurer or the financial, whoever is over the finance. There's all kind of charges that can be leveled. What the IRS did was they were it's kind of like they do anyway. This is not just an IRS thing. This goes to J6 or whoever. They throw as many charges as they can and see how many they can get to stick. And what they want to do is cut a deal with you. In some cases, the ones that were pulled in court said, we're not doing that. You can take us to court because we've not done anything here. And the cases were so bad in many cases. I mean, they were all over the country. And yes, a lot of them was in the South. They were pulling these people into court and there just was nothing there. And that's what like I said, it's got to be bad when the federal government, the federal judge is telling the federal entity, the IRS, your case is horrible. You don't have a case. And if you don't stop putting in cases like this and wasting the court's time, they were talking about, getting them in trouble. So they're still going to do it. It's just, they have to back up and punt and try a different way. But if you're not following through with that stuff, if you're not paying attention to that, they can get you, and it's ugly. Nobody wants to have the IRS on their trail. Nobody, So yes, Brother Jerry, you have to really stay on board with that. Hey, appreciate everybody coming here again. Appreciate everybody. Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, X, wherever you're from today. And happy Friday to you again. Have quite a few people from X in here, and we appreciate you watching. But again, you just need to be knowledgeable. And if you don't really understand, you're going to have to pay somebody to teach you and train you. And there are, there are seminars that you can go to that are ministry based. So they are Christians and they're saying, hey, I'm a Christian lawyer. And they make it affordable. And I think it's a good idea for the pastor. And it could be any organization. I'm just using it as an example. But in that case, your pastor should be involved. People who are on that, the legal documents, they're the ones that the church, that the IRS would come after. Your treasurer, that small group. It might be 3 people, it might be 5 or whatever it is. Everybody should get on board with that. Have annual training. I think it's a best practice. and just be knowledgeable. Now, sometimes in your church, you may have an IRS agent. You may have, they do taxes or something like that. I mean, they got to go to church somewhere. You may have somebody that just does taxes, and they can advise the church, and you can get some, free legal advice or free tax advice or whatever it is. Or a lot of times, the lawyer will go to, they go to church, and they offer up services at either free or greatly reduced rates to help the church out, so that the money's going towards, mainly, for the gospel. And you use all those resources, but it's awful good to get some wise advice about running, organizations and stuff like that. You can, like I said, you can get sideways really bad. There was I want to say it was down. I'm just going loosely based on my bad old man memory. I think one of them was down in like Louisiana. I think there was another one from Missouri, and these were pretty big operations. And in one of these cases, I think for sure they were taking some of the government money and using it in their outreaches, but they were very involved in social causes and stuff. So that's going to be a feeding kitchen or something like that, or they have housing that they're offering on a temporary basis or something like that, and they use those funds for that, and many other things. So they have a one-stop shop. They say, hey, come to the church. We've got all these services set up, and it's funded maybe not totally, but largely by federal dollars that they can get, which puts a lot of oversight there. So there's a lot of paperwork to sign, a lot of things you have to stay up to date on with that before you even get the money. I remember when Obama was President Barack Obama, I remember his shovel-ready projects. That was a joke. There was no, that phrase was abused. There were no shovel-ready projects. And how do I know this? Because I was friends at the time with a city manager. He's not in office anymore. And we talked all the time about issues in their area. And he was using small town. All the towns do it. They're looking for state or federal or some foundation or something that's offering money to like bury. And for him, it was to put like the electrical underground and stuff like that, to build sidewalks, through the town or whatever. There were federal dollars available for that. Well, Katie barred the door on how much they had to go through to get that. They finally did. But I think once you go through something like that, you never want to have to do it again. It's like writing. What is it's money. The person who has to write the plan. They say once you go through one big one like that, you're done. You don't want to ever have to do it again. But you have to have environmental impact statements. There's so many people you have to pay to get to come out and test your soil. Traffic studies, whatever it is, they have to have all this information, and that's money. And you got to get so you're basically in debt to it before you ever get any money. So once you get indebted, then you got to make sure you got it. So they thought, man, shovel-ready projects, let's go. I've got 2-3 projects I'm ready to go on. And we got our own people. And sometimes you can't even hire the people you want to hire because now you're into federal. So now you're going to have to put the bids out. You're going to have to consider those that are minority or whatever, because now you're getting into some new laws. I'm not speaking against it. I'm just telling you it's frustrating. And I know guys that did a lot of projects, and to kind of pull this full circle, back in the day when I was in this goes back to my time in the Gideons before I was, preaching. Back in the Gideons, there was a guy, he ran an electrical company. And he would put bids in, and anything that was related to governments, city, county, state, whatever, he had a hard time getting any of those projects, even though he would lowball it as to the point he was having trouble even making money, because what they would do, they were given at his time, he told me straight up, he said, Dave, it's Iranian contractors. We have Iranian, people here they've set up a company and they're getting the projects. And he was so frustrated at the time. He said, I'm about ready to close up shop and just retire or go to work for somebody else. He said, it's hard for me to keep enough business to keep my men paid and me, making it profitable. And that's what, so they put you through the ringer. And again, I think there has to be checks and balances. I think we all want that, but it goes way beyond that, Let's see. Let's get back to Barry says they mentioned the Nick shirt. Yeah, I saw some of that. The young man who did the YouTube video, but there was another gentleman involved that actually had the numbers. He'd been researching that for years. And yeah, whoever those citizen reporters are that are going and getting the information, because mainline media is not going to do it. Mainline media is not going to cut their own throat. And here's the problem we have in America. Here's where, and it's an old story. How do you go investigate something where you probably have your hands in the kitty as well, and you're getting paid through some sort of government means, at least some of it? Because that's what happens is you don't want to cut out your funding. So they'll go after some people, and some people they won't, because they don't want to cut their throat on being able to make some money. So they're not going to investigate stuff very hard. So your citizen reporters become invaluable because they don't have any skin in the game. They say, I can just go dig up Freedom of Information Act, FOIAs, and getting information and getting those things and looking into those and researching those. They've been able to expose a lot of stuff. But that's a good point. Yeah, I want to give everybody credit that's involved, who has, exposed some of this stuff. And they are great. I love them. I mean, they're out there asking the questions. It's not easy to do that. You're going to get treated ugly. And you have to, you got to have a thick skin. You got to let it roll off your back, because, they're going to call the law on you. They're going to tell you, they're going to make you think, they're going to threaten you with legal action. Even the police showing up may not know the law. They may be ignorant of the law, or they may be lying about the law to intimidate you. Some people are very knowledgeable. Nowadays anymore, they usually have somebody that shows up and basically advises the police on the legalities. I mean, it's gotten to that point, sadly. And that's usually, the sergeant or the supervisor or whatever, because the police, a lot of the field, the street officers, if I can say it that way, some of them are on foot, some bikes, motorcycles, cars, horses, whatever. They may not be fully knowledgeable. They may be newer, and it's a lot to take in. So they come up and they advise them on what's legal here. And they can say, well, he has a right to be here. As long as he doesn't go past this point, he has a right to ask these questions. He cannot talk to these people because, they're now protected under a medical or whatever. So you got to know the law, and, you got to know your stuff, but they will try to bully you. That's for sure. Yeah, that's the hope I see for podcasters exposing the theft that goes on, especially at the local level. And they can do that. When you mentioned oversight, that's a weird thing. Like, where's the oversight in Minnesota, and where is it in Georgia for that matter? Well, and that's where the failure started. If I would say, if you were a conservative or religious to a degree, depending on what it was, organization, they're going to look at you over with a fine-tooth comb. Some other things, and good morning, Shalinda. In another way, they're going to give a pass on some of these organizations because, well, they know what's going on, and they're not going to look them over. There's no way they have done their due diligence on the NGOs. No way. And so, and I can't sit here and say who or when or where, but I'd be willing to say I'm on solid ground with saying there's a funnel back of that money into somebody's pockets. And we've seen it in Ukraine. We've seen it in other things that have happened when Doge was looking through some of the government contracts and Social Security or whatever it was. There's a funnel back, and somebody's enriching themselves. So they're gonna guard them. They're gonna push back using their position and stuff to keep people off the trail, because they don't want people looking too deeply in that stuff. And I would be willing to say that probably the paperwork trail is bad, like even digital or whatever. It's probably not real good. And we know because you're signing up all these people, they're not spending too much time in finding out, is this one Gonzalez really Juan Gonzalez, or is he someone else, or is she someone else, or are they using the same ID or whatever? They're just signing people up. That's their job. It reminds me, my wife, and she's deceased now, her cousin, I'm not saying a name, she was a master at manipulating. I'm just saying, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. She was a master at manipulating how to get people credit. And she absolutely got sent packing out of several organizations because her forte was working for, and I know one of them was Radio Shack back in the day. So her strength, it's horrible, but she made a buku of money, and she ended up going to prison for it. So she did have to spend some time in prison. but she would sign up all the people that had there's no way they could have passed a credit check. No way. She found a way. And so you got people rolling up and they don't, they're poor, very, very, very poor. Their credit rating is horrible. They don't pay their bills or whatever. And they're walking out with hundreds and even a few $1,000s of merchandise out of Radio Shacks and stuff. So she that's that way. They're just signing people up and they guide people. So they say, okay, here you need to put this, don't put this. It's that kind of thing. Like, oh, we don't want to check that box. You do really want to check that box? It's like, yes, no, yeah, okay. And they just look at them. This line? Okay. And that's what they do. They just tell them, hey, this is, you didn't hear it from me, but this is how you fill this out. Or nowadays it's so corrupt, they probably fill it out for them and hand it to them and say, put your X here or sign or whatever. I don't care. And we'll get this pushed through for you. And then they start pulling out the goodie bag and giving them the goodie bag. Oh, here's your monthly, debit card. We're going to take you now over to this 5-star hotel and you're going to be staying there for several months at least. And we've got all these, other organizations lined up and it's like a cattle call. They're just bringing them up, bringing them through, It's like when I went in the military, it's like you're going from station to station. It's like, okay, over at letter K, we've got healthcare over there. Make sure you get over to letter K. They see their banner. They're gonna get you all the free healthcare. And then we're gonna go over here. We got housing over here. Oh, we're gonna get you signed up for school over here. We're gonna make sure we got you took care of. So they walk in with nothing and immediately are living at a higher standard than a lot of people in our own country that are legal citizens are. And here's what's the heartbreaking thing. And if you just pay attention to social media, everybody sees it. Now, some people, maybe they mismanage their life. Maybe they don't work like they should have ever. But I know many people who have paid in. Barry, you know them. You know these people. You see the same things I do. They have worked their whole life. They have paid into the system their whole life. They're getting old now. Their health situation is not good. They can't afford to live. And they're losing their homes. They're going homeless or they're having to move in with family. If they have family, that'll take them in. I'm going to tell you, folks, it's sad. I just saw a lady yesterday was trying to get her cats. She said, I'm going to be homeless for at least a month. I can't afford the place I'm in anymore. I know veterans that are walking to work, living in a pay-by-the-week motel who have been there and laid it on the line in war. And, they have to ask for donations every month just to still make it. And they're walking to work for miles each way because they don't, they're not looking for a handout. They're just looking to make it. And the cost of living is so high. The housing, and especially the housing, which is horrible right now, if you can find it. And it's, to me, it's a sad indictment of all these people that are having to live in the pay-by-the-week motel. Now, listen, let me be clear here. I'm not judging that. I'm saying that's not the American dream, is to live in a pay-by-the-week motel. It's fine if you're doing business in an area for 8 months to a year doing construction. That's fine. Good morning from Virginia. God bless you. But I mean, I think about the kids. At least they're off the street, thank God. But you pull up and I know what I'm talking about because I know people that are doing it. And you pull up and it's fine when you go on a vacation, you stay in a motel. But I think of those kids. Where do they play? They're in a room that has 2 beds and a bathroom. And they, you're afraid to. I mean, how do they get to go outside and play? You have to watch them. You don't know what else is staying around there. And some of those are pretty good. Some of them are bad. We just had to have several of them rebuilt in our area because they were so bad, and they can become cesspools for drugs and prostitution and abuses for children and stuff like that. And it's not. That's not good for your society to have people living like that. And it's massive. Every city has tons of them. Everywhere you go, and they advertise, and it's like $200 something a week or something. I mean, I think the one that I know that's doing it right now, it's like, I don't know, 200. We'll just say 240 a week. 240 a week. You do that over a month, and you look at which is about equal, but they break it down so they, and so they're working overtime. They're probably working 2 jobs, and they're on every kind of assistance that they can get on. But here's the catch-22 on that. They can't probably get too much like food stamps or something. And I know for a fact there's, they go through hardships of having, trying to eat, and their cars stay, it's bad, folks. It's bad. And it's really easy to get kicked out. Even still, a lot of people think it's not. It's really easy to get kicked out of government housing. It really is, because, like I said, once they got you, they own you to a large degree. And yeah, maybe these people's lives are not exactly where they are at, but you know, a lot of people's lives ain't where they need to be. I mean, and my heart goes out, and I just think about that. Praise God, it's better to live in a tent by the off ramp or the on ramp by the interstate. Now I've known people who've done that, and with kids, and they got out of that and got in a hotel, and they were thankful for it, and hopefully they're doing well. Lost contact with them. When you work security, you see a lot of that stuff. I mean, you're dealing with homeless all the time, and yes, there are animals and there are children. And the ones I seen, they were taking great care of the child. It wasn't the middle of winter. They were clean, and they got off the street. But it was about the time that social services was fixed to take their kid. And but that can be bad too. I mean, where do the kid go? Who do they get placed with? That could even be worse in some cases. They may be placed with somebody that's abusive. I mean, it just all funnels together. This level of crapola, it's rising. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And so, you got people pouring into the country, and they're living a whole lot better in many cases. Not every. I will say this: there are situations where some of those people, they've been done just as dirty or worse. There's a church up in Seattle, Washington, and they're one of those churches that are getting money to help. Well, they only get so much, and they said there were buses that were being bused from the border. Every day buses were showing up. They were putting people, they had people sleeping inside their church, not just in fellowship halls. They had a building set up with so many cots and beds and gymnasium or whatever. Well, it overflowed. They had people sleep in their Sunday school rooms. They were starting to set up temporary structures. They didn't want to turn anybody away, but somebody just figured out we're going to pull up and dump them out. So listen, some of these people, they're not all terrorists. They're not all people that are looking to come in and do bad. Some of them were families. And when they saw the conditions, that they were upset. They were like, this is not what we were told. Well, who told them that stuff? The NGOs. Oh, we're going to take care of you. Don't worry. Well, in the short term, maybe for a month or two, they thought, okay, well, those cases couldn't be heard for years. Under Biden, some of those cases to be heard for status, they were booking court dates 7 years out. Well, they weren't going to take, they weren't, those people didn't have an idea what was going to happen over 7 years. So you're going to lose track of them because they didn't track them well either. And thank God the current administration has found thousands of those kids, over 100,000 I've heard, that they didn't even know where they were at. They were somewhere, but they didn't know where they were at. So this whole thing is a farce. This whole thing is horrible. And I always tell people and this could be either side of the political aisle. I think it's really bad on one side, but let's listen. I always ask people this when people really praise on one side. I'll say, when have you ever had dealings with the government that it went well? And I've never had one person go, that was easy peasy. I was in and out like a shot. They took care of me. You don't find people that say that. So then I say, well, then when you're saying trust your government to take care of this, when have we gotten a AAA rating on that? So even though, I'm not saying President Trump probably has the best of intentions, but those offices underneath him, many of them they're still just crap. They are. And even on the highest levels, look how frustrated we are with Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or whoever. They're not getting stuff done. Well, if they're not getting stuff done on a high level like that for people that should have already been in jail, we know they're guilty. They say they've got the evidence. Bondi's out there bragging that, a couple of weeks there's going to be some arrests coming. She's a liar. If she's failing, if FBI is failing, do we not think that some of the oversight's failing? Do we not think that it's horrible? The president came in, and it takes a while to clean stuff up. So there's a lot of problems, a heck of a lot of problems. And it's just going to get worse, folks. And where's the money going? Where is that money going, and who's putting it in their pocket? Who's getting a hold of it? Is it being used in a right way? Is it being used in a wrong way? Listen, I am fully supportive. People that are coming in legally, immigration, all the services they have coming to them, let's help them along the way. They get positioned and make the country better. We need the workers. Honestly, we do need workers. We're not keeping up with population demands, and everybody knows that. And we got a problem, and it's hard to get workers. It is. I deal with this, and you can get workers sometimes, and sometimes you get workers that you don't want, and you got people that won't work, and we're all fighting over the same pie. In Georgia, here up and down the I-75 corridor, I've already sit in meetings and saw the studies over the next several years, the amount of business they expect to come in, the amount of workers are needed, and the amount of workers they have. So that's exactly what they said. These are all the industry folks, and they're working and looking at those numbers, and they say, we got a problem. We don't have enough workers, one, and we really don't have enough good workers for the next 5 years. This was about a year ago. I was in those meetings, and a lot of those jobs are built now up and down that. And Barry, you know what I'm talking about, up and down that 75 corridor. We've got massive data centers, battery manufacturers, and stuff like that have been building in Georgia. When you go down below Dalton, for many, many, many miles, probably to get to Cartersville or something, that whole corridor is building up. But then you go down around Macon and out I-16 and all that, massive amount of property has been cleared. Businesses are building up, and it gets in a squeeze for the workers. So then you're really working now where the company said, we got to get busy in the, to go to the technical schools. We need to send our own people. We need to give them option to go to already working here and get some education that they don't have, because we're not going to be able to get the people to come in. And what's happening now is they're raiding your companies. This is what's happening for us. I'm not naming the company, but it's what's happening for us. So what happens is you have another company that comes along and they say, oh, we're going to have a problem with workers. No, we're not going to have a problem. We're going to pay them more than the people that have them employed right now. So these workers are peeling away, and they're going to these new companies, and they're making more money, and the budget model just doesn't work. Now, where are they getting that money at? I don't know. I don't know. Is their product make that much more money? Maybe it's a booming business. Maybe it's more challenging than ours. That's some of it. But what else is going on? I don't know. But we're losing good people. We at our facility, we've lost good people, long-term employees, and they say, I got to go. I mean, I'm making, they're getting like $5 and more on the hour more in some cases for skilled workers at other companies. So this is not just happening in my area. This has happened all over the United States, and it's challenges that we're going to have to meet as a country, and we got to clean this up. And yeah, I don't think any of us want our tax dollars to go up. And I always get mad. And Barry, thank you for bringing up the audit and going on about this, because this is one thing that bugs me. Everybody knows we've got to pay taxes. We understand that. We do know this. Our government has mismanaged the money we give them forever. Our government is in violation of the Constitution. It has been for a long, long time. They give money to things that are not constitutional. A lot of stuff that we see the abuses, it's not even constitutional that money is given. When you go back and you look at the Constitution, and what we're all supposed to be based on is, what does that say? Our own government is in violation of the very bedrock document that we have, the Constitution. They violate that. We don't even have proper representation. They violate that. They have for, well over 100 years, maybe 200 years. It's a long, long time. They violate that. You're supposed to have much more representation than you have versus the population you have. They don't even have that. But there's other things that they have. A lot of the stuff where we're throwing this money around overseas and giving to these countries, it's not even constitutional to do that. They don't care. And if they'll violate that, they will violate other areas of that Constitution. So absolutely, the citizens have got to fight. The citizens have to stay on top of this stuff and challenge their leaders and vote them out. That is the power we have. And that's what's frustrating. The vote is the power we have, and our voice, the protest or whatever. But when we see massive voter problems, voter lists, registrations that are, over 100,000 people are dead or don't live in your state anymore, but they're on the rolls. We got a big problem. when we see outside of our state interference coming in, and on the federal level, foreign country interference, which are trying to manipulate our elections to pour money. Our state, Georgia, has massive amounts of money that are coming in. And that's why it's good to see one of the laws was some restrictions on some of that. The amount of money that's coming in from outside your state to affect your elections. Well, we know where this is coming from. It's from some of these same organizations. And guess what? Some of those same organizations, guess what they get? Money from the federal government. So they're, it's sick, right? These organizations are paid. They get money from the government to now affect your state level and down to the county level too, not just on the state level, but down and working in some cases, depending on if they need that county to flip the state, they're going to pour money into that. It's sick. We got so many problems. A lot of work's been done. A lot of work's going on, but man, we cannot take the foot off the pedal. We have got to continue as Americans to question, and we got to do that from the local level up, going to the county commissions and challenging these people on the wasteful spending that they do. They want to tell you they don't have enough and we need more, and we're doing a good job. They pat themselves on the back a whole lot. If you don't notice that, they love, that's the favorite thing they like to do. These counties and cities and stuff, they're constantly in the paper, bragging on all the stuff that they're doing. They want to make you think, we got it all under control. We vote us back in. You can't get a pothole filled on your road, but they're telling you how great a job they're doing. Crazy. And when you go to paving roads, it's over $1 million a mile. $1 million. Could we not find a better way? Is there not some research we can come in to have better product that's cheaper? Over $1 million a mile. Think about that. Look at your county and look at how many miles that you have to pave. So this is what they do now. They get the extra penny. So now you have, not only do you have the SPLOST, you have the E-SPLOST, the education SPLOST. Now you have a T-SPLOST or something like that. Could have a different letter where they want more. And they say, this is a way to spread it. And they'll tell you that it's all tourists that are paying that extra penny. No, it's not. And so they take all this extra money and they say, we got to have it or you're not going to have paved roads. And this will continue to be a funding source. It will move into other areas as well. I'm surprised the government doesn't have listed on our check an immigration section that says, can we just have the I for illegal? Because that's about what's going on. And they're just taking, we're going to have extra, folks. We had more come in than we thought because we don't know what we're doing. Well, we know what we're doing. We're just abusing it. And we're going to take more money from you to, it's sick, man. It is so sick. Let me catch up here. Barry, in Georgia, if you report a tax sheet, the government recovers money. You can, if we know something's going on, absolutely. I think if they made a financial incentive report or become a whistleblower with certain companies, more people would be involved. That's a good point, fair point. And making sure that they're supposed to be protected under whistleblower. That's interesting. Good morning from Twitch. A guy sitting near me spray painted a certain appendage around potholes. For the city is full of them. Oh my gosh. Now you can take that a lot of different ways. Maybe they shouldn't have done it in a visual way for kids and stuff. But you got to give them credit for creativity. That's hilarious. I mean, that's hilarious. But I really wish that on the federal level is so nasty and ugly and everything. I wish that at least this is my wish. And listen, I get it. There are some issues that Republicans, Democrats ain't never going to agree on. Okay, and that's fine. That's fine. But you would think on many of these issues, could we just set aside the ones we're not going to agree on, like guns and abortion or whatever, and just say, okay, we're not going to agree. We're not going to agree. But where this government is wasting everything that we're giving them, they're ripping us off. They're coming after regular good citizens and trying to make examples of them and using the lawfare and everything else that's going on. you would think we could stand together and say, listen, for these causes, we're going to stand together and we're going to challenge the government. If we did that, things will get fixed quicker. The government expects and they encourage and they love the fact that we're divided. They love it because then they will make certain people look stupid and, you're a problem and blah, blah, blah. When you turn your head from and you just ignore the problem because, well, that's, I love it because I get this or because I hate the president or I hate my governor or whoever it is. And you refuse to report things or work together and expose some of those things, or you're sadly you're part of the problem. You've enriched yourselves, and we've created a whole demographic of people that are, and I say enriched, I don't mean that they're filthy rich or nothing, but they're living off of that government bottle. I mean, it is generational now that we've done it. I mean, from probably before, but especially since FDR, it is a generational issue where all these people, that is their total existence. They think it is normal, and there is no checks and balances, no way to help these people get moved on. And, you have to have that. I remember a guy told me, one of the hurricanes hit North Carolina. This has been a long time ago. I'll say at least 15, 20 years ago. I don't remember which hurricane it was. And it was bad. And, it is bad. Well, the government came in, FEMA, and they created a camper city. They bought up brand new campers. Nice brand. These aren't used. These are right off the assembly line campers by the thousands. And they built a camper city. I know of at least one in that area. And they moved all these people in whose housing was destroyed by the hurricane. Check. Got it. Well, after 2 years, these people have turned this into like a community. I mean, it's like the trailer park. They've got little gardens going on. It doesn't look like they just had a camper there. It's like little lots now. They've got numbers on the thing. They've created a little city. It was never meant to be that. So they had to come in, and even the government had to do this. I think they gave them 90 days to get out, and they had to come in with force and hook up those campers, small trailers, whatever you want to call them, and take them out of there. And I think I don't know what they did with all of them. Some of them I think they just scrapped. Some of them may have been sold at auction or whatever. But that's your tax dollars at work. These people they just said, we want to live here. We like living here now. We don't want to go back to where we was at. We like here. It's like a retirement community. We want it. You got to be careful what you put yourself in for. Oh, I just think that, I'll never say I don't know everything. I'm not saying I'm that smart and I'm certainly not a know-it-all. And I think if you just pay attention to what's going on and you start looking into stuff, and you'll learn there's a lot more levels to it in all this stuff than ever. And I love to talk to people who are in situations, and many times they're more than willing to tell you what's going on. I was talking to a lady, and she's on government assistance. She could live. This is in Chattanooga. I saw her one day. It was a hot day, and there's a bus line that comes there. By the way, they get discounts on. They get help with that. They can get. They can pay so much a week, and they can bus all over the city. They do. They'll just go spot to spot. It's like taking a ride every day, a journey, this place to this place. Sometimes to do business. Good morning, hello to you on YouTube. Anyway, they go from place to place, and I asked her. I said, because I said, are you waiting on the bus? Because I was wondering. She'd been laying out there all day, kind of like laid up. It was on the edge of the property. I wasn't trying to be a butt or anything. I just wanted to know. Very nice lady. So I asked her, and I said, hey, I just asked her, are you homeless? And she said, yes, I am. I said, well, I hate that. And she goes, no, it's okay. She said, I had an apartment. I was I had somebody that was living with me too, and they helped pay some of the bills. But, she said, I got enough money she said, I had enough money to live in a place. This is all given by your tax dollars. She said, I have enough money given to live in a place. I was getting food assistance and I was getting this. But she said, at the end of the month, I didn't have any money left. So I decided just to live on the streets and take the money. She said, I live good. And every now and again, I'll go spend the night with a friend or something who has an apartment or a motel room or something like that. But she said, I'm just going to live on the street. She said, there's all sorts of things out there that I know how to, basically she said, I know how to work the system and I can get goods and services. And she said, if I have to, I can stand on a corner and ask for money. And she said, $30 a day, I'm good. So, I mean, this is what we've created. This is what we have. And they don't want to leave the street. I'm not saying everybody, so I don't want dirty emails, but I can tell you that I've talked to many and they say, no, I'm okay. I don't want it. You say, well, there's places you can go and spend the night. They say, I don't like those places. They're horrible. People steal your things. They're crazy people, on drug people. They will fight with you. Or they say, I can't bring my booze in. they won't let me bring my booze in. So no, I'll just live on the street. They have better cell phones, iPads and stuff like that than I have. They know where all the places are that has free food, all the social programs. Many of those we started out at the beginning of this program. The churches are getting this money from the government. They know where all those places are, so they get a hot meal. They have mobile showers now that are being paid for. So have you seen them in your city? They bring the showers around. And listen, in a short term, I understand. I get it. But many of these people, they're not looking to get off the street. This has just became a normal cycle of life for them. And many communities now are building the homeless, basically the homeless place for them to live with some oversight so that they don't trash out and just because it's become such a problem. And it is massive in our country, massive. And it's not getting better, folks. It's getting worse. Now, yes, you do have the people we have a mental health crisis, not a problem, a crisis. We have people that are very unstable on the streets. And even if it's just 3 miles down the road, they may not even want to make the trip because once they're off the medication, they don't even think normally. And they may not be a danger to society, or they may. And there is a drug problem, massive drug problem. And so in some cases, this is the same. A lot of people have bad PTSD. It's a lot of levels to it, a lot of levels. And every city's having to deal with that. And it's, again, I don't know that anybody has all the answers, but we got to do something. And here we are, and this is getting worse. And are we bringing in more people to be a part of it? Or are we going to treat these people at a higher level and take care of them at this level and those people who suffered? Let's pour money. Listen, I get the geopolitical crap. I get it. But let's pull back some of these trillions or billions of dollars or whatever it is. And let's get our mental health situation back to where it needs to be. Because in the 90s, they just said, we're not paying for it. To heck with you. And the mental institutions and hospitals poured all these people out in the street. There's medications that can be had, but a lot of times the people don't show up for appointments and they don't get it. We have legal drug organizations, drug pushing organizations, which are federally funded, and you have them in your community, and everybody's lining up to get their free drugs. And they're not getting better. They're just giving them, it's maintenance drugs, and they just keep giving them the maintenance drugs. They just keep, and it's shocking. If you've ever had to I took someone for counseling, and I'm looking like, what is this? I mean, it's like it's still the trap house, whatever. It's a federal, thing. And listen, people that are involved with that, I'm not saying there's not successes. I'm not saying that there's not a need. I'm saying that it's more of the government gets a hold of something and they just keep it going, and with the idea that it never stops. The success rate is not good. And at the same time, we're having to build more and more prisons. And nobody wants to pay for that. Those are going to be a massive amount of drain on your tax base to have to build more prisons. We don't want criminals on the street. So we've got to get a handle on the drug problem, which is I'm fine with what the president is doing to try to at least stem the flow of some of these bad drugs that are coming in the country, because all these crimes, they're all going to go back to drugs, mental health, or, just bad people that have been abuse themselves and they turn into, evil people and abuse people. It's a massive problem. And it's not getting better. I mean, everybody mocked the war on drugs. I saw so many people, oh, yeah, the war on drugs. And yes, was money wasted in that? Sure, it was. Absolutely. But we got to do something. So I don't say I have all the answers, but I say our country's in trouble with that. The undercurrent of our country is bad, and it's getting worse. And it's now pulling down the standard of living for people that used to actually live fairly good. These are the people that's now going on the streets. They're not mentally handicapped, or they don't have a drug problem. They're just old people or disabled people that don't have nowhere to go. They are hospitals dumping them out in the street. I mean, sad, sick situations. Nobody wants to do anything with them, and they're laying out on the street. And we've had it happen in our community. The jails will take them to the hospitals and release them in front of the hospital because they don't want to pay for the health care for a prisoner. This has been a big problem in our area. So I'm just saying, we're in trouble. We are in trouble. Let me catch up here. Again, thank you for coming in. We appreciate that. Barry, we need some way for people who want home ownership to be able to get it. It's dignity. Yes, people should have to be able to live. It doesn't have to be. And by the way, those communities that will not approve tiny houses and stuff, those are actually pretty nice. We're not talking about a shed, which I'm in a shed right now. I have power in here. This is a building I bought. It's almost paid off. This is my studio. I could live here. I could add on. We're actually going to add on and put another room in. This has become my studio. You could take something like this. Yeah, you could do that. And it's better than somebody, living in a pay-by-the-week motel or some, just living on, under a bridge or something. We got to be able to do something. So absolutely have the dignity of that. We've got to have, listen, our and Barry knows this. Michael that comes in knows this. Our food sources listen, people are going hungry in America. People are going hungry. There's not enough food. This is the dirty secret. There's not enough food for everybody. It's not. You can find out all the reasons why. You can research it, look at it. But I'm telling you, the food need and versus what we have is not level. And if you talk to the local food bank people, they don't have enough food for everybody. So they have to manage that and do the best they can. And I think they do a heck of a job. You can only do so much with what you have. Broski, being rewarded for being a bum. A lot of people feel no shame spreading to others. They have no desire to be self-sufficient. There is that. Sure, there's that. And I've met those people. And there's a lot of different situations. But we do have good people. And there are people that are losing their homes right now. If they are saying, and they're making the announcement, I'm going to be on the street for a while. They're living in their car. And let me tell you this, people that think, they'll say, have you tried this work? People will try to help them with resources and stuff. You can go here. The government has this, or the state has this, the city has this, or this church has this. Those things are so tapped out that it's not available many times. Like it's not an option. Or it's not what they say it is. And they put you through so many hoops, you can't get it anyway. And we have a massive undercurrent of people in our country, who are on the verge of complete financial collapse to the point that no food, no place to live. And they're scared. They are absolutely scared. And they are whole caravans of people that are living in their cars. People are getting creative. I saw a guy the other day, and he has a truck, but he hooked up he built like a shed type thing on the back of a trailer. He puts a generator on it, and he doesn't have a place to live. He pulls that thing different places. I'm seeing more homemade stuff like this, or they do get a deal on a pull behind camper or something. This is their home. They live in a truck and a camper, or a top of something that's homemade, and they built it up. And they just pull from place to place and try to find a place to stay for the night until somebody runs them off. That's if they have that. The next level is they're just living in their car. And I see them all the time. Middle of summer, they're burning up. And then in the middle of winter, they're trying to stay warm. Then the car breaks down. Now the car breaks down. Now they can't move it. And I saw a family of four living in a four-door car. And I had to be the guy to go tell them, look, you got to get it moved today or they're going to have it towed. And they weren't bad people. I'm not saying they didn't have some problems. They weren't bad people. They're very respectful. And the lady was almost in tears. And she said, I know y'all have been so gracious. I am so sorry. We have somebody on the way. Our brakes are out. We have no brakes, and we're really trying to get it fixed. I said, listen, they're just trying to have it done by the end of the day. And they did get it. I was so glad. I was praying for them that they could get off that property because the thing they were living in was going to be taken. And, it breaks your heart. And again, I don't know all the issues. I'm just saying what I see. And it is very, very, it's very, very sad. The fallen state and the broken family structure has led to all this. Amen and amen. Do you remember the idea of Mill Village, like Atco near Cartersville? The American Textile Company made a mill village where people could work and live in that community. I kind of sort of remember that a little bit, Barry. I don't know that I remember all of it, but is that getting back to is that getting back to working for the company store? I don't know. It may be good, it may be bad. It's something you'd have to be very careful with. Well, maybe I might. Coca-Cola. I might. Vehicle. What's funny is that people assume a lot. Like, do I talk with a Southern accent? Yes. But was I born Southern? No. You're right on the money. Yes, you're right on the money. It's out of control. Everybody's on some kind of drug. Boy, is that not the truth? I mean, is that not the truth? And it's getting worse. What's happened? Me and Biscuit Boy have been talking about this a lot. Is getting off of these drugs and holistic health. And we've got somebody that's going to be coming on after the first of the year, and we're going to be talking about that. And Paul is a perfect example. Paul has had a lot of head trauma and stuff in these years. He was on so many different medications. He's on zero. He does take natural stuff, and he's off on everything. He said, I fired my doctor. He is about my age. We're just about the same age. And he is healthier than he's been in his whole life at his age. He's very active, and that's what he preaches. And they go and work out, and they do the outdoor stuff, and we're going to be covering a lot of that. And, for myself, I mean, there's things I need to do. But, yeah, they get you on all that stuff. And then once they got you, then sometimes you can't afford it anymore. Like it jacks up. And you're supposed to be on a maintenance medication, but even if that's bad, but you got to have it for right now, you can't afford it. So a good example would be we got a massive diabetes problem in diabetes. I'll say it everybody the way they expect me to say. Jake, you're in here. Yes, you're right, Jake. I hope you booted. Thank you if you did. I've talked to people, and even with the little cards and stuff you can get, it can be $2,000 or $3,000 a month depending on what they're on, and they might get it down to $700, $800, $900. That's still a lot of money. Somebody that's not making that much. I'm on a wellness program, and I only take two things, believe it or not. And I'm 60. I'll take a multivitamin, so they count that. You're taking something. I take a multivitamin, and I'm two different medications. I'm trying my best to get off of them. I really am. So I want to get to that. I don't like taking medication. I don't even take headache medication. I try to stay off of that. My wife will get on to me like, yeah, you don't need to hurt. I'm like, I am not taking anything. I don't like introducing anything in my body unless I absolutely have to, because that stuff is bad on your kidneys and stuff, and Lord knows what they pack in, in some of our foods and stuff. But thank you, Jake, for coming along. Hello to you. Jake's another creator. Give him he's all over the place. He's on everything. Y'all can follow him. Jay Moots, 87. We really are in a very serious, dire situation. The public don't have a clue. Man, absolute correct statement. Salute. And they're just running along, and they have no idea of just what's fixing to happen. And now a lot of people, and I don't know if they're correct or not, but I was listening to a program where I was glad to be there. They were very, I won't say very different. It was a different people group than me. I want to say it that way. And I was listening to things from their side of the way they we're looking at things in America and across the world. There was a guy in there, and he was adamant that in 26 we're going to have financial collapse. I pray to God that doesn't happen. People say it like a matter of fact. Look, we're going for a full-on financial collapse. Most Americans are not ready for any kind of collapse. Our debt problem, not just for the government, for Americans, is bad. Credit card debt is bad. Cost of living is up. Inflation is up. We know all the problems. People's savings, you're supposed to have, recommended at least 6 months of having your monthly bill money set aside. Hopefully you've got some CD stocks, something out, mutuals, whatever it is out there that if you had to, you could get to. Precious metals, obviously you've got some gold or silver, whatever. I'm not a fan. We do the ascending group, and there's going to be more and more talked about that this year as they're helping people navigate that and get prepared in case something happens. But if there is a collapse of the dollar or something like that, how massively bad would that be for our country? We're not ready for it. The panic, the chaos that would ensue, even if it was only a partial collapse, would be so catastrophic in our societies, in our cities and counties and everything else. Things would fall apart really quickly. And violence would go up. Pardon me. Violence would go up. Man, nobody wants to see. I think sometimes people say that's almost like they're cheering, like, yeah, I'm ready for it. Let's go. Man, nobody wants to see that. Our power grids, we've talked about this, our power grids are in horrible shape, a lot of places across the country. Those power grids are being maxed out and taxed out by data centers and stuff that are coming into our communities. We have it here in Georgia. And we may not have enough power to supply as we go forward, which is going to impact industry. I mean, what if they cut off your community, your residential areas, and say, we got to have it for the data center? You don't like that? I mean, we're having to, some of our power companies or, whatever, they have to borrow from the next power. I say borrow, they're buying it, but they're basically getting power from someone else. So your power group cannot support all the power that's needed in that area. So they go to a Duke Energy or whoever it is. That's what happens here in the South. And they buy up some extra power during times of extreme cold and heat or whatever. But we have the grid is in danger of going down a lot because it's in such dire shape. They've not kept up with it, especially the more west you go. And, forget California. It's horrible. I mean, but Texas and all that, those power grids are bad. Man, if you have power go out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a lot of people are going to die. They need that power. They're in bad shape. They got to have that power. And that's the kind of things we're talking about can happen. We have states and cities that are bankrupt. They're filing for bankruptcy. They don't have no money. They're upside down. Now, Georgia's in pretty good shape. There may be some cities in Georgia that need to do better, but the state as a whole is not in bad shape. It has surplus. I think Tennessee probably does a good job, maybe Alabama, but there are states that are completely, they're corrupt. They're stealing the money. We know they're giving it away. California, that's one of them. We know it. And many cities within California, they have no, I mean, they're all, it's all borrowed money. It's all debt because they're in debt and it's in bad shape. But yeah, people just go around and they're too busy looking at their social medias I love the comedian Mascalo. What's his name? Mascalo. I probably said that wrong, but I love that look he gets with his comedy routine. And he has this look, and it looks like this mindless zombie look. Somebody going, and that's what we have going on. People are like mindless bots right now. They're just going around. They have no idea what's going on. They're so caught up in their next selfie, Hey, look where I'm at, my next content creation or whatever. They don't have any idea of the social issues that are going on, the corruption and all that. They just think, well, I don't know. I think things are going pretty good. I was able to go out and buy my Christmas, Berry dog. That's the other sad thing. You see billions of dollars being wasted by NGOs. Excuse me. I'm still battling congestion. And states like Minnesota, and I'm pretty sure the same in Georgia, while everybody else is struggling, homeless. You got to ask who's stealing the money. Your politicians that make $174,000 a year and then come out with $30 million or even more. Yes. Why are they being allowed? Amen. Amen. That's truth. The soul of our country has been sucked out. We are that. As a whole, our country, our government's running along like a mindless, Elon Musk robot or something. It's like, that's what it. It's just it's sick. It's absolutely sick where we're at. And again, I don't care what your political persuasion is. How can good people not see that on all sides of the issue, or whatever you're, libertarian, Democrat? I don't care what you are. You say I don't even vote, whatever you are. Can we not see that and say our communities are failing, our families are failing, our institutions are failing, and the problem is getting worse? Listen, I'm raising a granddaughter, and her mom, she's spending time with her. After this program, I'm actually going to get her back. She spent the holidays. Mom's in good place right now, and they've had problems, but they're living in the situations I'm telling you about. The pay by the week and stuff like that. And I want to see them get above that, and they're working hard. And I just pray that things will get better. But it's really hard for me to drop off granddaughter at that. I'll be honest. I'm not judging those people. I just worry about the transient kind of person. I mean, come on, you just worry about that. But then you see all these other situations that are going on. I know people that have been, we talk about the veterans. It's absolutely true. We got veterans living under bridges. We got people that have been ministry leaders, preachers, pastors, people that they just have, it's just hit them hard. Their health has went down. Their financial situation is upside down. They have, we have the indigent care is so bad in our area, the hospitals. That's why we're getting hit so hard on our insurance, because they are required at the emergency room to treat those people. Their indigent money that's having to be sent to the hospitals in the local community it's a lot. And I wish it not to. I'd love to be able to look at a snapshot of an emergency room and just know, not faces or names or anything, but have those, but know how many are indigent and how many have health care. What health care is it? And how are they getting their money? I mean, big pharma, the problems we have with that. And Barry, and I'm getting to your next comment here. You're absolutely correct. Medications that are cheaper, that can be brought in from outside the country, or medications you can't even get access to. We're really in a bad state right now. Like, okay, you need a procedure, you need this maintenance drug or whatever it is. Can you even get it? Will it even be approved? I mean, you pull up. I mean, I see people pulling up at their local drive-up pharmacy with almost like a hope and a prayer. Like, please tell me that was filled. Well, no, your doctor didn't approve it. We don't have it. I mean, like, we're still waiting on the doctor. I've dealt with this myself, and I'm on a program. Like, I'm through my company. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like calling these people up. What is going on? The doctor scolded me because they don't have it. The pharmacy says it's your doctor's fault. The doctor says it's this person's fault. I got them all on the horn, and I said, I don't know what the problem is, but you people need to fix it today. I better get it today. And I did, but I had to get mean. You're making me out the bad guy. Hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Thinking of drugs like ivermectin, they've gotten to the point where they extended the lives of dogs and cats by improving their kidney health. There is a place for all these things. I do worry about people that don't know how to administer correctly, because you can overdo anything. But you have to know that. That's where your holistic doctors and stuff comes in. I promise you we're going to have these people on. I know at Killer Carl's, Jacob from over in Alabama, he's on, and people are, he's making a fine young Christian man who is making a huge difference for people and getting them some education on that. But yes, and by the way, folks, we was talking about the bad drug problem earlier. Every home, because you don't never know who you're going to come across. You should have them in your car. The free stuff they give out. In many cases, it's all free to counter-react drugs and stuff. To be able to get your hands on it. They just give it away because it's so bad. Somebody in your family could take something and you can counter-react the heroin and stuff like that with those things. You can get those things free a lot of times. Everybody should have that. It's like the EpiPen, but it's different. But we need to all have that. It's sad. The scourge of the drugs is bad. It has affected my own family. It is the most heartbreaking thing that you raise your family a certain way. And I love my son. One of my sons has had a few years of trouble. And we're not unlike anybody else. We're not a special case. I'm not looking for sympathy. I will take all prayers. And we are hopeful that the next time will be the time where they get past this. And it's bad. It is extremely bad. And so you say, well, they need to get a job. Well, my son did. He's always worked. He went to work, and when he went to work, he was working around all these other people who had the same problem. Well, they were trying to support each other in getting to their meetings, their check-ins, and all that stuff. It doesn't work because one person will fall, and everybody else falls, and all those people fail, and they're back in jail or prison. And it's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, we got to have that. They said ivermectin was a horse medication, but if there's a medication that would improve your kidney function, that would be a big help. Again, it's the top of and how much you're doing with that. But the cleansings and stuff like that, getting these toxins and poisons out of our bodies, absolutely. And yes, eating as healthy as you can with fresh, fruits and vegetables and good things, and getting away from processed foods. We know that's important. Absolutely, it's important. I mean, let's face it. Listen, and it's happened at every level. But our kids and grandkids, they have been basically brought up to think that chicken nuggets from a particular place is a meal. I mean, that's where we're at, and you got to fight against that. You got to work. You got to have good meals and good things like that. But it's not only kids; adults do it too, and we know where that's going. I mean, we have. And I say this with all due respect. My heart goes out. Go watch a parade. If you want to know how bad we are in America, go watch a parade. And our young kids, and look at the health condition. And listen, I'm trying to get better myself, not judging. And look at these people that should be in shape, and look how bad it is. And we got to find a way back out of this. We've got to. And this is going to be the medical disaster that's coming along. It's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. And, maybe some would say, well, they want more people dying. Well, maybe whoever they are do. There are people out there probably love it. But there's a lot of people that say, maybe you say you're feeding the monster. You keep the problem. It's like addiction or food problems or whatever it is. There's food addiction, sure, of eating bad things or whatever. And it's like keeping a job. I mean, how many times have you heard people say job security? Well, if your health is bad, you're keeping people in a job. If you have crime in your city, you have police departments don't downsize. They're constantly needing more. That's because crime goes up. You don't see less doctors, you see more. Well, now it's you're not really seeing a general practicing doctor. Usually it's the others underneath them, but more and more the telehealth and all that. It's a challenge, and there's more and more people getting sick. More and more people are dying. That's just the way it goes. Are there successes in some cases? Yes, but we could see a lot more. Personally, Barry says, I could care less if a dog or a cat took it. And I know people who have done some of that. The waterways from these data centers, the amount of water to cool the servers should be considered. It is Barry. I know Broski's coming up next. Barry, yes, the data centers are. You better look into that, folks. Look into that. The massive amount of energy and water, the noise level, because they put them out sometimes in rural areas, and the noise level can be very annoying as well. I'm still working through some comments, brother. I may not have seen that. I don't know if I did or not. If I didn't, I'm sorry. I'm behind a little bit in chat, trying to catch up. Jay Moots, I'm trying to tell people America has some dark days yet to come. Yes, I agree. And that's not being a doom and gloom person. That is actually paying attention to what's happening. This is not in one area, it is across the board. We're failing in so many areas as a nation. And listen, you can go back to the 80s and certainly in the 90s and forward. Our own government has ran invasion practices on American cities. We know this is going on to encircle and take over areas of our country. There are already plans on the books for places to lock up people for a long, long time in our country. Plans are already there, and we have as much of a problem, a threat within our country as we have outside our country. We have that. So, good morning to you. Sounds happy. If you reward bad behavior, you see what happens. Society is no different than raising a child in a lot of ways. Sure. Sugar and processed foods, all these needless medications, when the root of the issue is changing your diet and exercising more. Yes, we need. What, do they still have the presidential fitness test? We did that in school, right? People mocked that when they brought it back up, but I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. 07 or 67. I don't remember. Are you talking about? Yeah, thank you for saying that. I couldn't remember it, but yes, the Narcan. And listen, that's sad. That's sad that we have to do that. But listen, you might save somebody's life. And listen, I about 2.5 years ago, and again, it's my son has problems too. About 2.5 years ago, my neighbor's son, we worked very close together. I'm not going to use names or location or thing. They're in prison. We're praying for them to get out and do better. But I got a call on a Sunday afternoon. All the kids come screaming, crying. Someone needs your help. And I, of course, immediately went. And it looked like death. It scared me. Full on CPR going on. I assisted. They had professionals on the phone. I'm actually an instructor. I have the certification for that, and certainly go through the classes regularly, keep all that up to date. But was ready, prepared to help. I ended up helping taking care of the kids and helping emergency responders get in, who I could hear were on the way. It was fentanyl and probably something else, and heroin. I don't know what all it was. I don't know. But I know this: they came in within. It's a miracle. Two hits. That's how bad. Looked like death warmed over. I helped to get them on their side because they were vomiting in their throat. That will happen. I know it's disgusting, but that's just the way it is. And you got to get them. And when they threw up, I could smell the drugs. I could just tell. But they hit them with 2 shots. By the time they brought them out of the house after Narcan, sitting up on the stretcher saying, "I'm fine," telling their kids who I've been praying with and trying to keep calm, who were in utter meltdown because they think their dad. They tell me my dad is dying. He's dead. I just encouraged them. We prayed. It looked like death to me. Scary. And it was complaining. And they said, "No, you're going to take the ride because you could still have a fallout here. There's stuff in your body." And so for several hours was gone as they went and got checked out of a local emergency room. But it's a miracle. It's sad that we have to have that, but every home should have multiple, because if it's not you, it's going to be your neighbor, or you may be out at the store or somewhere and there's nobody got that available. It doesn't work on everything, and I'm not an expert on it or nothing like that, but I do know it works, and I've seen it work firsthand. And so, yeah, Barry says, "I have an addiction myself. I'm addicted to biscuits and gravy." That's very difficult to overcome. From where, Barry? From home, or is there some place that you're addicted to their biscuits and gravy? Hey, I appreciate all the chats. I'm trying to get caught up. Corn and soy is the scourge. The GMO slop. They've got 5 data centers planned around Lake Michigan alone. It's everywhere, man. My God. I mean, it's like these centers. It's like they're taking over the landscape. Where do they come from? Hey, I knew a guy that went to work for one of these companies, and his job was to get them built and kind of maintenance. He finally left one because they got out ahead of themselves. There's a lot of government money in getting these data centers set up. We know that. Tax breaks, the whole deal. He left, and the first one, it's still there, but they downsized pretty quickly. They were having trouble and delays, and so he ended up getting let go. But they gave him one heck of a package to walk away. Let me just tell you this. It was well worth his time. Well worth his time. He was making a lot more money while the time he was there than he walked away with a fat wallet as he walked away from that. So, but yeah, and I didn't know about that. I don't know about every area, but I know they've been building them, and we're being covered up with them. And the battery companies building the batteries. And I'm questioning where are all these batteries going to go? Because I think it's slowing down a little bit on the car sales and truck sales. I know they've got parking lots full of these things. They're not able to sell them like they were. California is already going to delay that whole rule they were going to in place. What was it, by 2035 that you could not sell a gasoline powered vehicle new in the state. It all had to be battery. So there were companies already setting up to basically sell over the state border in another state, so that they could get that and bring them in. And all that was being set up. They've now delayed that. It's Friday. It's the weekend, or soon will be, and we appreciate it. Irwin, 4 things I have every day. Cinnamon. Yeah, cinnamon's good. Garlic. I love me some garlic. Probably not the way it needs to be. Raw unsalted almonds, and yes, almond. And the almond milk is good. And fish oil capsules. We definitely going to have a show about this. I'm not trying to sell a show or anything. I purely want it as a resource. And I keep saying it. And Biscuit Boy it's a place he goes in Cleveland, Tennessee. And she has already agreed to come on the program. And we're going to make it monthly for sure. We might try to step that up depending on, but we want to have this lady on and help people get some education. But thank you for sharing that. And that's good. And howdy to you. High five. Thank you for that. Happy to have found this show. Going to share with you guys when I get to work. Hey, I appreciate that. We have a lot of different types of programs. We really do, from pets to history to music to politics to health, or Lord knows what else, racing, sports. We just try to offer a lot of different stuff. You know why? Because we enjoy it. And that's fun. Thank you for this. I avoid sugar. It's the worst thing. I take stevia or even a little brown. Yeah. And that is, boy, we definitely at one time in our country, we were the sugar intake. Oh my gosh. And it's still a problem. Sure. But a lot of people have learned, when you go to the restaurant and you're listening, like you can't help it. Let's say, what would you like for your drink? And they'll say, tea. You don't hear sweet tea as much. And even here in the South, we love our sweet tea. I gave it up years ago. Every once in a while, I'll still have one it's like to remember. A lot of people do 50-50, but most people are saying, they just make sure they've got something like that. And they now use it and everything. Even, oh my goodness, this might be a Southern crime in their grits as well. And you just don't hear that much anymore. Or water. Mostly what I hear people ordering in restaurants is water. If they're doing tea, they're doing the substitute, which I know that could have some stuff in it. But there's healthy salt, the healthy alternatives to salt. You see a lot of places offering things on that. And I think there's a lot of people there are people trying to do better. I mean, you just give credit where credit is due. There's a lot of people that are trying to do better. There was a restaurant here doing the alkaline water. I don't know if they're still doing it, but a lot of people were really into that, and trying to get good kinds of water in them as well. And the cleansings and all that are really big. Barry, I hear there's a support group for that. They meet Saturday mornings at the local diner. Electric cars are the biggest fraud ever. I can't stand Elon. It is. It's huge. It's a massive, massive kickback. Oh man, the money that we have that has been stolen from us to enrich these people. Oh my gosh. Barrett Broski again. That's a good point, Dave. A lot of it's lack of education, bad habits your parents taught you because they didn't know any better. Have you ever heard the old story? I've heard this. I'll say it real quick. It's like, why does my wife cook this size ham on this size thing or whatever? You know what I'm going. It's because they go back and great grandma, her oven was only that big, so they do it the same way. Well, you're right. A lot of people have been passed down things, and they just do it because that's what mama did or that's what grandma did, and and we do have to fight against bad habits. My wife has been, she's had her health problems, but I want to say way before she had health problems, she was doing a lot to make us healthier. We got really into olive oils and stuff, substitutes, fresh salads and things like that. We've both had lost a lot of weight. I know I need to lose more. I get it. You can see it. I need to lose weight. But we went to water. Is there still work to be done? Yes, there's work to be done. But we are, I think a lot of Americans get it. And hey, listen, the future is ugly. You got to take care of yourself. I mean, you don't want to be caught up in these federal government health institutions because, I worry. Let me say this. I worry about federal takeover of some things. I don't want the federal government involved in my health care or whatever. I just think that industry or whatever. I saw something during the time of the great C word. I saw stuff that gave me the creeps. And these government takeovers of companies to make them make things they want. We've now set a standard. I'm a little bit concerned about where this is going to head. It is concerning to me. Executive action is concerning to me, and both sides do it. I'm real concerned about that. It is. We better pay attention, folks. That's what we got to say. Electric motors are more efficient than gas, but it's all the wrong direction pursued by companies. Yep. Stolen Himalayan salt is top shelf. Himalayan salt. Okay. Hey, James. James up there fighting some of that corruption. We were talking about you earlier from Springfield, Ohio. He knows all about some of that government waste and the NGOs and all that. We started out our program talking about that, James. We've kind of got over to health and holistic health and healthcare and all that. Dave, the traditional Southern diet is often considered the worst diet. A lot of pork, sweet drinks, a lot of bread, biscuits, sugar, and everything, canned foods. Amen. I'll admit it. When I grew up and I went to my uncle's farm, and every day was a lot of pork, a lot of lard, butters, yes, biscuits, breads. We did have fresh from the garden stuff, but yes, there was a lot of that. Now at breakfast, I will say it was water or milk. They didn't allow the drinks. They didn't do that. But the rest of it, definitely. I mean, just scoop that hand of lard out and throw it in the pot. I was smelling that bacon in the morning. Oh, brings back memories. The wood stove, the heat. Didn't want to. It's cold in the house except for the living room. You just cover it up with more covers. Barry, my relative brother-in-law is taking a drug called Zep. Bound, it's a weight loss drug, and he's lost over 100 pounds. There's a lot of that going on. Absolutely. James says, I'm a product of the Springfield, Ohio public school system. Take that for what it's worth. I don't know how to take that. James, I mean, you're an awesome dude. By the way, if you're not on Rumble, what's wrong with you? Get on Rumble and get you a Rumble free app. And when you do, follow James at Empty Pockets Podcast. He's a hoot. He's a good dude, fighting the good battle up there. And by the way, let's advertise for him. I am interviewing Lieutenant Colonel Elias of the U.S. Militia at 8 p.m. tonight. Awesome. I will probably have to catch the replay, brother, because I think we're going to be certainly we may be on. I don't know yet. We've got a couple of interviews this afternoon. We have a brigadier general that's going to be retired on with us soon. It's now that we're past the first of the year, we're going to schedule that. We had to wait through the holidays. And your mayor interview is Friday, the next Friday. Ain't that right, James? Something like that. The mayor who apologizes for being born white. Good Lord. I'm not apologizing for nothing except to my Lord and Savior. Seek forgiveness and repentance and all that stuff for my sins. I'm not bowing to any man, and I'm sorry. Scheduled as of yet. Yeah, hopefully they will. Are not scheduled as of yet. Okay. Still trying to work that out. Okay, I get it. Rocking and I just want to say we can't have both sides. This is remotely normal. Please explain. I'm dense. I may not get it. But James, God bless you. Appreciate you having us on the other night. I had a lot of fun. Just kind of let the hair down a little bit of what I have left. He will be emailing me early next week. Okay. Yeah, sometimes when we got an interview, you're like with a fishing rod, you're reeling it in, you're like, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. It's like, oh, he jumped off the line. I've been there. I had a senator. I will not call you out, sir. You represent me. You told me you would give me an interview, and when you dodged my phone calls afterwards, I'm not going to forget. You're always welcome to come, but come on, man. Don't tell me that. Just be honest with me. No, I ain't coming. I can deal with it. Don't lie to me. James. Oh, my goodness. I think you would probably lose it right there. I would say, broski, to that is yes, there is on the first, no, zero, nada on the second. That's for I don't keep up with a number, but I think there's quite a few. I used to go to church with some. I was a little shocked when I saw the belt buckles. Do I want to come pay my senator a visit? Me to come pay her? Well, I like the guy. I like him. Doggone it, if I didn't like him, I'd be rougher today. But listen, we were the little podcast that could. I called him. I got him on the phone. I didn't go through the gatekeeper. I guess I got right to his line. He said we could do it, but wait till a certain point, and I never could. He just didn't answer the phone call. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. He does a turkey shoot and all that. I should just go to one and just say, hey, remember me? We talked on the phone. I tried real hard to get MTG. I mean, I'm in the 14th district. And I've been to her stuff before. Never could get her. I maybe post office. I will. Still be a good interview. But we do have one for next Friday with one of the potentials to replace her. I will announce the name as soon as we have the time set. We have the date set. Waiting for the time, making sure all that in place. I bet they are, James. Oh, they're like, you're being watched. James, have you saw any white vans pull up or some sort of fake, look like they're fake utility workers and they're climbing the pole and they've got some sort of camera up there watching your house? They got the white van listening in. You might want to be very careful. Yes, get your Wolf Nation coffee. Man, I am so happy. We've got hey, looky here. Wow, God bless you. 4 p.m. works fantastic. 4 p.m. is absolutely fantastic. So here is one of those that could potentially replace Marjorie Taylor Greene, turnip seed for Congress. I am so excited to have you on. We're based right here in the 14th district, and we want to just talk. I don't want to talk about the previous person. I want to talk about what you see as the issues and stuff like that. So here you go, folks. We're going to do that a week from today. And I'm now that right there. You get some points right there for that to come in and I'm not naming who it is. You would know who it is who did me that way. But listen. I had great. I've worked with the staff for Marjorie Taylor Greene locally and in Washington. They're very good. I'm gonna tell you, our staff was top notch. They always treated me with a lot of respect. And it's not that she dissed me or anything, and I'm sure they get a lot of requests, but man, I tried my best to get a 15-minute interview, and I just couldn't get it. I gave them, they said, you have to go online and you have to put what day and hour and the topics and all that. My gosh, I gave them 30 days of time slots. It's like, just give me 5 minutes. I didn't get it, but definitely look these candidates. If you're 14th district, especially, show up and put some questions in the chat. We got a great district. These people around the country dissing us. We got a great district. I'm glad we're on the map, though. I'm glad people are asking the questions. We got some things to clean up, like anywhere, but it's a great area. And well, thank you for saying that. I look forward to having you. And I've asked some others that will be campaigning against you. They have so far not got back in touch with me. So you are the one and only in that pool. I have. By the way, before you go, how many at this point do you know have filed or have intentions of filing? I don't know if you've, because this is kind of a weird thing the way they're doing this. I mean, she doesn't officially step down to the 5th, and then is that when they're going to announce when the date is? See, I actually work as a assistant manager at a local precinct, and so I'll be working the elections. And love our election group up here. They're awesome. And you can't say that about everywhere. Oh my gosh. Wow. Runoff. Definitely a runoff. I said it would be. I didn't know it was that high. I was actually thinking it was like 5 to 8. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Well, we're going to help get Turnip Seed for Congress name out there and let her get in front of you. I loved your bio, by the way. I love the bio. And I think it's exciting to know. Let's thank you for your service to the country already. Thank you for that. And thank you for stepping up. It's not an easy thing to do. I mentioned in the front end of this program, politicians, we may not like them sometimes, but you're putting your life out there and they get ripped. Their whole life is exposed. And I do appreciate those that step up for public service. It's not an easy thing. MTG steps down the 5th, so the announcement will come between the 6th and 16th. Okay. So, yeah, I don't even know when we're going to get together for this, because you have election, then we're going to have a runoff, and then we're going to have the primary, then probably another runoff, and then the general election. It's going to be a heck of a year. If you love politics, 2026 is loaded, baby. I mean, loaded. And so, oh, you are, James? That's cool. I didn't know that. Somewhere I missed that about you. Broski says, MTG's answer will be, I already answered that question on a different interview, and then she'll run. Maybe. Well, if she's was a bulldog on the issues, I'm not going to comment on the rest. That's the Rumble bot. And then we appreciate that. I want to ask her a question. Maybe she could teach our state senators here. She did do a lot to put us on the map, and some didn't like that in some ways. But, listen, I will say it again. She never changed on one important issue: America first. Get the money from overseas and get it back home. And so for that, I applaud it. Did we all? Nobody agrees with everybody on everything, but I think the more we can line up on the America First agenda, we want to be strong as a country. We want to, seal up those borders and make sure it's legal and stem the flow of drugs. I think we could all, again, can't we all agree on that? Some people don't believe in it, but Chambliss was a problem. Yeah, that's an ugly old Georgia story. We got some issues in Georgia, and we're going to have a new governor. I think the uniparty issue. I think our governor, going over in Davos and all that. I'm not big on all that. But I'm looking for a new day. There's, and oh, by the way, if Ms. Turnip Seed, if you have a group in our area that's doing the campaign signs already, let me know. I'd be glad to put one up for you and let I've already got one up, not for that race, another one, but just let me know. and we'd be glad. I'll be looking more deep. I'm looking forward to having you on. It's going to be a blessing to ask the, to listen a lot. I say it's not. There are some things I just want clarification on, and to see where we're at, and really how you see it, and what Again, I don't want to talk about. If you want to mention previous, that's fine, but it's not that. I hate that when people say, "Well, in this administration." No, it's all about what you are bringing to the table and what you offer as a candidate. And we want to make sure your message gets out there. Tell your story. And I think you probably have a pretty heck of a story from what I've just read. I've been at your campaign site and all that. It's a good looking site, by the way. Let me say this as well. I'm not going to name the organization. I have done it because they tell us not to. And I haven't done it in the last few months. I don't know if I'm going to be asked to help in 26 or not, but I have worked for one of the voter guides. There's different ones, and I have done that. I'm not currently doing it, so I don't mind saying it, but if I'll be asked or not. So you never evaluate those in your area, though. But what I will say is this, and I've said it before, and when you're doing a research on a candidate, two things that really stand out to me about that, and the way it's graded is it's not a win-lose, but it does help shape stuff. As we're looking at a candidate and we're looking at their platform, one of the things we notice, it's amazing to me, most candidates have a horrible social media presence. Horrible. You got to have a strong, really catchy, to the issues, whether that's your website, your campaign website, and be on as many different socials as you can. Certainly you're going to hit the Instagrams and the Facebooks and YouTubes of the world and all that. I mean, it's a given. You got to have that. But that's the way people get their information now. You got to run the ads, all that's expensive. I get it. But you got to have that because people are so tied to that now. It was so amazing to go to somebody's website and I couldn't figure out what their platform was. How can I evaluate this? So then I got to go to their social media, and sometimes that was helpful, sometimes not. It was really hard sometimes to find out what they did. And some of the particular voting guides, they actually give you a survey. I felt the survey really invaluable. Now, this was a conservative group looking at, and you get a rating off of that. And there's about 8 levels to that, all the way from very conservative, all the way to very liberal. And that's what we were tasked with. Now, it's a process that goes through many, many people. So it's not one person deciding that. And we meet as a committee, or we met as a committee, and it goes through some other people as well. But we give a grade on that candidate. And I want to tell you, the standard for being very conservative was met by very few. Some that I thought would have had it, when you really look at their campaign, it was not a very conservative candidate. Certainly they could fall within the conservative, but then you would get, I'm trying to think of all the levels. It's very conservative, very liberal, conservative, liberal. Then you get into some different ones. Then you have candidates you put, we don't know, because there's nothing. You look at who's giving them the money. Where's the money coming from? Follow the money. What organizations have given to this candidate? They're saying they're conservative, but they're being a lot of money being given to them by liberal organizations. So you look at that. You are looking at, where do they send money? Where have they donated money at? Have they donated money to conservative organizations, causes, whatever? Or is that money going to liberal? So all that's looked at. I find that very interesting. And really, that guide is the work is done for you as a voter to take that guide and do a little research. A lot of the research is already done for you. All you got to do is pull it up, and it will show you all those rankings and ratings and everything. And this one is going to be a big one. My gosh, I didn't know there was 20. And a group of people will be over that. I doubt highly that I would ever be involved in that, because I live in the 14th. But there are people that will be involved with that and doing it. And there are different ones you can look at. Listen, everybody knows them. Ballotpedia does one. There's another one, Voter. What is it? I can't think of the name right now, but there are several of them. And, when as a manager at a precinct, you have people come in and they can't talk in there, but we put the names on the wall. We put, that's all there for them to see, who's running and everything. And I can't tell you how many times people come in and go, "Oh, I don't know any of these people." So we have actually suggested to people, "Hey, why don't you go back in your car, use your phone, and do some research for 30 minutes or an hour, and then come back in." And we've had people take us up on that. We can't advise them; it's against the law. We wouldn't do that. But you can go out and say, "Hey, why don't you go do some research?" Because they don't know. Now, this is going to be a hot one, so a lot of people are going to know. And I can tell you that there were people that came in the last couple of elections. That is all they wanted to vote for. They really didn't want to vote for anything else. They were so interested in voting for that seat. And some of them didn't realize that someone wasn't in their area. Boy, they were mad. But that's all they wanted. That's all they wanted was to be able to vote on that seat. So I think it's great. Let's get the information out there. Um, Empty James, I agree with everyone on everything. That makes me a slick politician. I agree with every. I know that's not the one I wanted. Here's the one. My new slogan is "Serve your community today because tomorrow." Why'd that flip off there? Maybe too late. Yeah, man. That's right. That's right. Hey, I've got to get off here. This has been a great group. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. We will be back tonight. We're going to have the racing show, or special on a Friday. Get that. Mr. Oglesby, Michael Oglesby, is going to be with us. I believe that is tonight. And I know it's tonight. I'm making sure I got the name right. And we're going to talk dirt truck racing. Boy, I love this. And I'm hoping to have on another gentleman. If his voice is better, he's going to be on. We're going to be talking about ministry. And we'll probably try to catch up another show as well. James, I think in my mind, I'm manager of my District 12, but all the rest, I am king. You're an awesome dude, man. I like you. From the great state of Ohio. Whatever happened to Ohio being the decider? Remember that? Every election, Ohio was the decider. It comes down to Ohio. It's still important, but it's not the decider anymore. It's they don't talk about Ohio as much as they used to. So James has the NGO problem in his community, the Haitian problem. They have no cats left. I mean, they're disappearing. Watch the Empty Pockets podcast for all that and more. He will tell you everything you need to know about what's happening in his town. He is invested into it, and he is talking about it every day. And he's got people watching him. There's no doubt. Be safe out there, my friend. Be safe. Again, happy Friday. God bless you. God bless America. And we love you. For without you, we would just be talking to ourselves. We don't have to all agree on everything, and nor should we. I like the free exchange of ideas, the debate over issues. And if I'm wrong, I'll adjust. I don't think I know everything. I think, there's sometimes I don't have all the information I need. And so I think on major issues, I know I'm solid. I feel good. And I will say there are hills that I'm willing to die on, metaphorically. There are some things some things are important. Some things are so very much more important. And sometimes we get caught up in the minors instead of the majors. That's an expression we use in the church a lot. People get caught up in the minors instead of the majors. They pay more attention to those, and they let the majors go by. And we definitely have that going on in our country. We got some people that are so caught up in the minor issues, not that they're not important. They let major issues go by, and they have no idea while they're over here fighting this battle over here. Major things that are affecting everything about their life and their liberty is being stolen from them. But God bless people that's willing to stand up, audit that, stand up and speak against it, protest against it, investigate it, whatever, and those that's willing to go into office and try to be that change agent that we need to just be transparent, legal, and make America greater. My gosh, who doesn't want their country to be greater? Everybody picks on that slogan. But what we want our communities better. We want our government better. We want our military better. Why would we not? But God bless everybody. Give us a like, follow, share, all that good stuff. We'll see you tonight. Pray for me. I've got to make a little journey to go pick up the granddaughter. So I got to enter enemy territory. Tennessee Vol. And by the way, I didn't miss it. I saw it. I wasn't avoiding it. Yes, the Georgia Bulldogs lost. Ugh, that hurts so bad. I can take it. I will just say congratulations to Ole Miss. You played your butts off. And by the way, you kicked our butt. That game would have went either way, but a true respect for the quarterback for Ole Miss. And on the other side, I would just say, love you, Coach. But why did you go for it on like the 30-yard line? Man, you got to own that for the rest of your career. Love you, man. But why? So we've got Oregon, however you say it. Probably said that wrong. That's one of those words Oregon. It looks funny to me. Dan Lanning, they're battling. We've got Ole Miss. We've got, and by the way, Alabama got waxed. That's the only thing that helps a little bit. At least we didn't lose by 34 or whatever it was. I don't remember. 36. I don't remember. You got to have something to claim. Miami with Carson Beck, former Georgia quarterback. I don't know who to root for. People with SEC homers would say, you vote with the SEC. We don't like each other. So if I was doing that, it'd be Ole Miss. If I'm going to go with a lot of people don't like Carson Beck anymore. They're mad at him in Georgia. But now I've heard people sort of like, well, let's root for him. I don't know. I guess the feel-good story for me, in my heart, I really hope Indiana does it. And I like the coach. Let me say, God, I got to get off here, but I like the coach. You know what? When they try to challenge him, because it's like, oh, this little school, what do you feel about all this? They know they're getting disrespected and have the whole way. I like that coach. That's the look on a coach's face that I want all the way through that game. They showed it multiple times. That guy was coaching the end. He didn't give a smile until he got to the end of the game, and he was still protecting their brand. And that's a good looking team. I like the uniforms. I like that quarterback. I like that running back. They play with a lot of heart. Their fan base is awesome. Nothing against Ole Miss. You know what? If they win from the SEC, this whole thing, I salute you. You deserve it. And it is a great story. All of them are. Oregon is Dan Lanning is a good dude, and I wish him well. There's not a team in this final that I hate, but the only thing that's rescued me on this, brother, the only thing that's rescued me on this is baby girl is not up yet. I can tell you. If she was, this right here would be going crazy. She'd be saying, where you at, Pawpaw? Where you at? She misses her dog. She had me take a picture of her dog and send it to her. She said, oh, she looks so sad without me there. And she is sad. She's a rescue. She doesn't like men because a man abused her. So she looks at me with a really on the side eye, she barks when I step out of the studio, she lets me know that she hears me. She barks. But she won't take food out of my hand, but if I lay it down, she'll take it. She loves women and kids. She does not like men. But she was rescued, her and other dogs in the family, from an abusive, nutcase who was kicking them and everything else. She was pretty young, but they had to pull the mama and at least two pups away from this idiot. I mean, listen, there's two standards in life, right? If you're mean to your mama, you can't be a good person, right? You just can't. If you're mean to an animal, you're not a good person. That evaluation. I always use my wife as a guide too. My wife has such a loving disposition, smiling, hugging everybody's necks. She doesn't meet a stranger. I don't to a degree, but she is at the stratosphere, way above me. And I always said, if someone didn't like my wife, I didn't need them around. If she was my front person in ministry or everything, I just put her out front. She would make the engagement. She could go hug the kids and the wife and all that stuff. And pet the dog. And then I come in and she kind of rescues me in that. But if your animal doesn't like someone, listen to them. They're probably bad people. They sense that stuff, right? If your kiddo, something creeps them out, listen to your kid. You don't have to be mean. Just realize this is probably a person I don't need to have in my life. Like I said, for all young ladies, if the guy you're dating is mean to his mama, get rid of that dude. Good Lord. If dude's not good to his mama, I don't want him around. I kid with mine all the time about when you bring them around. They know how I am. And my granddaughters know. I don't mince words. You did? That's awesome, man. That is awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, man. You're growing, man. You're doing good. You're doing good. And that was fun. And thanks for having me on again. I say that. I'm the square peg and the trying to get in the round hole. I probably don't. And it's great people. I'm just saying I probably don't fit in like some because I'm just this different guy. But I appreciate all of your friendships and having me along and your respect and all that. And I appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. And I appreciate the collaboration. You're trying to build something. We're trying to build something. And you're in Ohio. I'm in Georgia. And we both have the same values. We love America. And we like to have fun too. So James is a funny guy, man. He got that great voice. You sound like that. You were talking about your voice. I got to say, I got to get off here, but I'm having too much fun. I didn't say it in the show when they were talking about your voice. Or you were talking about your voice and people said you had that perfect radio voice and all that. It sounds like that you smoke cigars just a little bit, just enough to give it that sort of newspaper kind of voice, or a person who does that radio, like they've hollered out the games, a games announcer or something. It has that little bit, just a little. It's a good deep voice. You enunciate very well. You talk in a flow that is, some people talk too fast. They're like nervous energy, and you don't catch everything, or they don't enunciate. You do all those very well. And then you have that. I probably shouldn't say it, but James won't mind. But it sounds like he existed. His voice does. Just his voice on Jack and Coke and a cigar at one time in his life. And it is a great voice. It is a great voice. And dude, you could call a football game or a baseball. I look at you as a baseball announcer. I could see you doing that. Or you could be doing Meet the Press. They wouldn't have you there, but you could do that show. And you have this great voice. So if you don't know, go watch him. Rumble, he does a little YouTube as well until they kick him off. He says it like he says it straight out. You take it how he says it. So you can like it or not. And I like that. He's straight on. And he has some funny stories too. But Empty Pockets podcast, because he was a poor mechanic. I mean, he worked on stuff his whole life, He knows what it's like to have grease under the fingernails. Hey, I guarantee this guy had a professional supply of Gojo. I guarantee it. When you went to his bathroom, he had stuff on the sink that would take the hide off because he's got to scrub all that dirt and grime off after he's worked on all these cars all day. That's this guy. Blue collar, hard working, hard charging. You don't disrespect his family or you're going to get punched in the face. That's James. James is awesome. I appreciate you, buddy. Hey, y'all have a great day. I'm going to go, and we'll see you tonight. We'll go out with a little music, and the Cornbread Man brake cleaner. I didn't think about that. That actually works. Brake cleaner. I used to work at a foundry. They had some great stuff that would take off that stuff. So that's interesting. Hey, God bless you. Salute you. We'll see you after a while. And if I raid somebody, then on the Rumble side, you don't have to go. You can opt out. But we got to get our raids in. I was thinking of that commercial, James. Raid! Because we're raiding all these channels. I think of the bug spray. So anyway, take care, folks. God bless.